Well, first of all, I want to say that we're in a country that has convinced black people that voting is the solution to their problems. Recently, the Supreme Court has rescinded that idea, and now they've changed the voting rights qualifications and requirements. So that's one problem y'all got. The other problem, the question was, where did mob violence come from? Mob violence came to America on the ships with the first European settlers, and then it morphed into the Ku Klux Klan, which was also bad for us, and later on it turned into the gangsters. And so we didn't make up the idea of mob mentality. We don't do mobs. That's really not true of us. What we are, and I try to get my people not to do it, is that we are reactionaries. And I keep telling them, stop reacting and do something for yourself so you're not dependent upon people who don't like you.
It's really interesting to me. Casey, Miss Ali went right to trauma. She really wasn't talking about mob mentality so much as the trauma that African Americans have suffered over generations.
And when the trauma isn't healed, one of the things that's important,
Go ahead, Casey.
one of the things that's really important is that when trauma isn't healed, there's a building up of that anger, that hurt, that rage. And when something happens like a verdict of somebody being acquitted, when it's clear the acquittal shouldn't have happened, that's when it explodes into the open. And there's a long, long history of people keeping things bottled up. So we've got to do more healing. I keep coming back. When are we going to learn? It's time to grow up, America, and heal these problems.
I want to give Casey a chance to respond to it, too. Go ahead, Casey.
All right. Mob violence can be expressive violence or instrumental violence. You're both absolutely correct. There's a lot to be angry about in the past, in the history. And Miss Ali is correct. I mean, there's been a lot of oppression, and not just to black people. But the mob mentality makes doing the wrong thing okay. The real question is it to evoke change? Is it to raise consciousness? What's happened in the last 20 years is that we now really have a high-tech world of internet, of Twitter, of phones, and there are ways to express your outrage that are socially acceptable and exhibit logic instead of expressing raw emotion that goes nowhere, that's contraindicative of anything. So there are answers. The answer is not to throw bricks, but to go ahead and say, you have your First Amendment rights to say, what have we learned from this? And the healing can happen, but not through violence.
Thank you, guys. However, I got to say, I watch violence acted out through social media every day. People feel very entitled to do a lot of nasty stuff on social media. It might go the other way. It might incite stuff just as well as diffuse things. So we really don't know. It is a new world. Miss Ali, thank you for letting us have.
Let me give you clear. This is clear. What I tell my little son, listen, I want you to be careful. There's some white men, not all of them, but there's some white men out there that want to kill you and stomp your life out like they did your forefathers. So you have to be careful of the white police, the white storekeeper, the white businessman, the white everybody, because they hate you.
Do you think there are people out there that believe like you? And to me, that makes me deeply, deeply wounded and sad, and we need to keep addressing it. Yeah, it bothered me all weekend. Welcome back, Jenny Hutt. I think you'll agree. Did that get under your skin a little bit, too?
Yeah, well, it's totally upsetting, but I got to tell you, she's really not wrong. She did say not all white people. And unfortunately, Dr. Drew, there are some white people who do want some black people dead. It's a horrible, disgusting thing.
I want to talk to her about it in more detail. Joining us and still with us, Brian Copeland and Miss Ali, and joining us, Frank Taffy, of course, George Zimmerman's friend and vocal supporter. Also joined by criminologist and attorney Casey Jordan. Panel, I want you to hang tight for a second. I want to speak to Miss Ali for a second on my own here. If you pull us up, there she is. There's my friend. Miss Ali, that really bothered me last weekend. Now, you can understand why that would affect me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still believe it? Do you regret having said that?
Well, I didn't think about it all weekend. You did.
I did.
Still believe that.
I just want to make sure
that.
I want to make sure it's still. Okay, but here's the deal. Here's my thing. If I were to come at you and say that's crazy, that's as racist as anything anybody ever said, if I were to just go headlong at you with those kinds of statements, would that change anything?
Well, what it would tell me is that white people want to discuss race in this country, but you want to discuss it on your terms. And you can't tell us what our pain is and how to express it. We have to do that ourselves.
I'm so glad you said it that way, because that's what I believe. Frank, I want you to be quiet for a second. Frank's almost bleeding into my head here. I hear him in the background, Miss Lee. I don't know. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Frank, hang on a second. And Frank, I'm going to Casey first, because I want her to listen to this. Miss Ali, I want her back up with me. Miss Ali, You said something very important because what you're really talking about, and I've said this several times, and this is what I want people to frame their conversation, because it's a place we can all talk about this, is that this is pain you carry in your heart from generations of trauma. Ultimately, that's what this is.
Yes.
And if all of us allow those traumas to color how we see other people, we ain't never going to get anywhere, any of us. Do you agree with that?
You know what we need? You know what we need? We need, as black people, some behavior cognitive therapy. We need to be able to connect the thoughts and the feelings and the behavior and see how this depression has turned us into such self-destructive behavior on ourselves. We need that kind of help. And y'all not going to give us that kind of help because it costs too much money, and that's a one-on-one therapy, and we just can't get that.
Well, I think, while I don't disagree with all that, and Casey, I'm going to have you ring on this in a second, too, I think there's something more macro that you and I can do, which is to talk about the pain and reframe the pain. And acknowledge that it's there, and rather than it being we all hankering down our defensive postures, let's talk about this. You would agree with that, at least. Casey Jordan, you ring in on this.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the conversation is important. And my problem with what Miss Ali said was that in one breath she talked about there are white people out there, and she goes, not all, but some. And then, you know, the white storekeeper, the white police, and then the white everybody. And once again, we're all lumped together. And that is the problem. We've got to quit the us versus them. It is just counterproductive. It's not going to get us anywhere.
Let me show you.
We're having these conversations.
Yes, I agree. Let me show you a Twitter that popped up along those same lines. Here it is. It says, Dr. Drew, it's coming up, hopefully. I've realized a lot of my black friends hate white people. Do they hate me? I'm sorry, Miss Ali. I mean, no, it's not going to come up. But the fact is that they're hurt by that kind of hatred and pain. Brian.
That's too, yeah, well, that comment is, as far as I'm concerned, it's just too far over the top. However, you know, as the father of two African-American boys, one, 3 days younger than Trayvon, we have to sit down with our sons and have a conversation that I call the black man talk about how to behave if they are stopped in their cars, because we don't want them to be in an accident. I have to tell my boys that you say yes, sir, and no, sir. You don't argue because they're afraid of you already. You keep your hands on the wheel where you can be seen.
You're
teaching them common respect. But hang on a second. Hang on a second. It's farther, if I can finish, it's farther. It's farther than that. You know what, Frank Taffy? You are a racist bully, and you're not going to bully me.
Every parent tells them. And you know what, son?
No, sir. No, sir. It's nothing. No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. Black man. You ain't angry at Whitey. You're not angry at Whitey. You're angry at the black man because when he gets a little success, he leaves you all in